Hello. Good evening. Happy New Year. I'm just waiting for how about you? Let me okay. Hi.
Hello.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, sweetie.
How
How are you?
are you? I'm fine, thank you.
Okay.
And you?
I'm good. I'm
All
good.
right.
I'm good.
The last time it was the other way around. Today is good.
That's true.
How's everything?
We're
How have
going to
you
be here all
been?
together, right?
Yeah, so I'm waiting for others to come in.
Okay.
Once I see Miss Maureen and
I
Miss
think Maureen is
Micah,
in Maureen. She's here.
okay, let me check. Okay. Hi.
Good
Happy New
evening.
Year. Good
Happy New
evening.
Year. Miss
Happy New Year
Audrey.
to you.
Miss Sonia.
Hello. Okay. Okay. I think I'm good now. So we're waiting for Miss Maureen.
You look
Thank
so beautiful.
you. Thank you. And you too. Thank you. Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hi. We're waiting for Miss Maureen and then we're good to go. Okay.
Okay.
Telling me only 3 guests can be. Oh, okay. That means Miss Maureen won't be able to join, but okay, we can work around that because our session is actually the same with yours, Miss OJ.
Okay.
So yeah. So anyway, here we are. Let's start with you. So we're talking this year. I just had this what was it called? Leading in my spirit. So just talk about teachers breaking the cycle. So that what just came to me. I can't remember how or when, but that was what that came to me. And I just said, okay, yeah, this is the year where we do things differently. This is the year where we take the bull by the horn. This is the year where we, step out of that box that we placed ourselves in or that the society has placed us in and just dare to do more. Miss Maureen, I'm trying to send you a request, but it's saying only 3 people can be on. I thought I would actually check and when it said 3 people and it's saying you need the latest version of Instagram to join. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that maybe okay. Let me just send you a message. Anyway, like I was saying, yeah, to just step out of that box that we have placed ourselves in and that the society has also placed us in. So Miss Michael will just be starting with you. I know we talked about, teacher. We talked a lot about teacher wellness last year. But now, there's always there's there's no better time to always relearn and learn and unlearn. We keep learning, so like no knowledge lost. So let's just. So what are those habits that you feel that we should, or that that we need to start nipping in the bud this year? At least let us make this year new. Let's do something different this year.
Okay, thank you. I'm excited to be here. Okay, so as you have said, last year we made many of us made a big deal about wellness, and I'm glad that teachers are becoming more intentional about their wellness, even though sometimes we get carried away and, you know, you just ditch all the great routines that you have tried to put together. But then over time, I've come to realize that maybe not having a strict or rigid routine will work, but then just putting it at the back of your mind that you need to put yourself first will go a long way. So I remember sometime last year, myself and Miss OJ had a lot to say about this when we talked about self-care tips on our page. And while discussing that, I shared that, so wellness is, so I think we focus more on physical growth, physical wellness when we talk about wellness, but it is much more beyond that. It is, yes, it's good to exercise, it's good to eat healthy, but beyond those two things, beyond your physical, we're also looking at social, we are looking at professional. Many teachers have other plans outside the four walls of the classroom, but they do not achieve them because they, I don't want to say forget, not like they forget them, but they just confine themselves in the classroom and they do not do any other thing. So it has to do with your social, your professional growth, your mental, your mental wellness, psychological, in all ramifications actually. And so I would start with, first of all, knowing that you do not know everything, like you're not perfect. Many times we I don't know why we want to be perfect, or we think we owe it to our students, our co-workers, our line managers to be perfect. And it eats us up when we think we are not meeting expectations. Yesterday, I posted something about the fact that sometimes you're excited that your children are meeting expectations, and other times it looks like they are not meeting expectations, and you begin to be hard on yourself. So first of all, we need to realize that we are not perfect. And one great self-tip I would say is trying to take breaks when you need to. Taking breaks when you need to. So taking breaks, I would be very, I'll explain that. I'm very specific because it's not enough for you to just wake up one morning and say, oh, I'm tired, I don't feel like going to work today. Hello? I'm taking a break. No, that's not what I'm talking about, please. So we have to also be disciplined. And I think that's why it seems like school owners and administrators are strict, because sometimes we teachers abuse opportunities like this. So taking a break actually means that you know deep down that you are overwhelmed, you're burned out, and you take an intentional break where you have made proper plans for the children in your classroom, not that you just wake up out of the blues and you think they should understand that this morning I'm not just in the mood to teach, right? So just taking breaks and leaving work at work. And I say that people always eat me up, but I would say that maybe not 100% of the time, but you can actually tell yourself that, okay, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm not going to take work home. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to leave school at closing time and not do anything work till the next day. So 100% might be difficult, but then you can start with 2 days in a week and then gradually. For some people, they would rather just stay at work and finish up the task. But when you leave work at 7 or 8, I think that's really not good enough too. And many times we think those around us understand. My husband understands. Oh, my children understand. Oh, my siblings understand. They are even very supportive. Yes, it might look like that at first, but after some time, it's really not healthy for that side of your life. So it's not just about school and work. So there's also your personal and your family life that you don't also want to, you know, you don't want to ruin. And so there has to be some sort of balance. And Ms. Tonya, do you want me to just talk about self-care, or are we going to be taking it in turns, or I should just continue talking?
Yeah, okay. I'm actually jotting from what you're saying. So yeah, I'm paying attention, and yeah, I want you to talk about self-care first because that would lead me to another question I'd like to ask Miss Maureen and Soji. Because you talked about taking time off, you talked about balance work. So the thing is,
More like
ever since
life.
balance,
Okay.
and you see that phrase, I always have an issue with it.
Balance. No, there's really no, when I say work-life balance, it's not 50-50, to be sincere, unless we want to deceive ourselves.
Yeah.
Work-life balance is not 50-50. Just sometimes it will be 70-30. Work is taking 70, home is taking 30, or personal life is taking 30. Sometimes it will, but you have to be very conscious to make sure that at every point in time you are giving the right proportion, to the right side. So it's not always going to be 50-50. There's really no balance. So balance not necessarily mathematically like number-wise, but balance in the sense that at every point you are conscious that, oh, I need to give 90% of this now because I have to meet a goal. And then when you are done with that, you also try to, turn the tables around and make sure that these people get to enjoy all of the time that they lost while you were giving all your time to this, some sort of, so it's not really about 50-50 all the time.
Yeah. It can't even be 50-50.
Okay. Okay, so we've talked about, we start with, can you still hear me?
Yes, we can. I can hear you.
So another one would be setting boundaries and maintaining them. And for teachers, because we are like mommies and aunties and the children's parents, we are like everything in one. We do not set boundaries, and sometimes it steals all our time. So setting boundaries, saying no sometimes I think it feels weird to say no, and you have to back it up with explanations. But can you just say no without explaining? And no is already, it's clear. But there's this guilt attached, like, I really want to help you, but it's not that I don't want to help you, and then you're trying to explain. Sometimes you just have to say no because your plate is full, and taking it up might end up overwhelming you, even though you would get the job done. But we don't always want to get ourselves to the point of being overwhelmed or burned out. So it's okay to set boundaries and maintain them. You don't have to volunteer for everything. You don't have to raise up your hand every time they're asking for a volunteer, even though you can do it. And you don't need to feel guilty about it. But I'm not saying we should be lazy. Please don't get me wrong. But then when you know that your cup is full or your plate is full, it's okay to just avoid or say, oh no, I won't be able to do this right now. And then another thing is that we want to ask for help. Delegate. I would use the word delegate. We should stop having the impression that we have to do everything ourselves, whether at home or at work. When you start thinking, so that perfectionist lifestyle of I'm the only one that can do it well, you have an assistant and you're still the only one that can do it well, and then your assistant is practically just watching you every day. So we want to ensure that we are delegating, and then delegating doesn't stop at saying, oh, I need you to do this. You also need to follow up, but also make sure you're not micromanaging. So you give the person the resources needed, and if you think the person doesn't know how to do it, maybe you need to have trained the person to do it first before delegating next time. But then you want to delegate most of the time and not. I think I've been practicing that this term, and it has made a whole lot of sense in the sense that I've seen people grow. So I've given people opportunity to grow, aside from the fact that I've not overwhelmed myself. Because at the end of the day, what if you are not there tomorrow? Does that mean the other person will not be able to do it? So we want to always delegate. Acknowledging moments of wins, no matter how little. Acknowledging moments of joy, celebrating your wins. You don't want to always, tell yourself that I was supposed to do better than that. That was not the expectation. Even with the students that you teach, you know, just celebrate little wins. And as all these things, they sound like rules, but I would want to emphasize the fact that we are all different, and what works for me might not work for you. So you also don't want to compare yourself to the other teacher. You don't want to say, oh, this teacher leaves at 4 p.m. every day, so means I'll start leaving at 4 p.m. every day, and then you have piled up work. The teacher leaving at 4 p.m. every day must have played some roles or done some things to ensure that you can leave at 4 p.m. Now you have said, oh, I like this self-care thing that she's doing. She takes herself seriously. 4 p.m. she's out. Me too, I'm going to be out at 4 p.m. Then you start receiving queries. That's not what I'm saying. So you must prepare towards your plan, the plan that you have had. So like I said earlier, it might be that you want to say, oh, 3 times in a week, 2 times in a week, 4 p.m. is 4 p.m. and I'm not taking any work home, you know. So whatever it is that you have planned, you also don't want it to affect your work, because that would be you not being professional or excellent. So you don't want to just say, I will do ABC, and you have not put in the work to make ABC happen. So what works for you might not work for someone else. Someone might decide, I'll be coming in at 6 instead of 7 to do ABC. And then you decide to also come in at 6, and maybe it's not convenient for you. So you don't want to copy, right? You want to do what works for you. Aside all of this, you also want to relax. And relaxation might be reading a book to somebody and watching movies for another person. And for someone else might be just sleeping. So just, you know, so when you go to Google and say self-care tips, you see so many textbook things there. But you need to understand yourself first and ask yourself, what gets me stressed out? What makes me feel overwhelmed? What do I do that makes me feel less stressed? If you can't answer these questions, you won't be able to set up a proper routine for yourself, because if you don't know what stresses you out, you keep getting stressed and not be able to identify how to stop or solve it. So you want to understand what gets you stressed, what makes me feel burned out, or makes me feel overwhelmed. Once you've been able to identify that, then you come back and ask yourself, what are the things I do that makes me feel relaxed? So that you know that, okay, so I need to incorporate this. I feel relaxed when I do it. For me, when I go to Canva to start creating content, it makes me feel relaxed. It's weird though, but I don't know why it relaxes me. And to someone else, it's going to be work. Like, how can I sit down and be designing something? You're telling me that you're relaxed. So you see, different things work for different people. So you need to understand what makes you feel relaxed and be able to incorporate that into the things that you do daily, so that some way you are able to calm yourself down and be refreshed for work. Because when you work, wake up tired, then the children are not getting the best out of you. So what's the point at the end of the day? Then let's leave the students aside. What about you, your health and all of that? Then you start falling sick, or you're tired, getting tired easily, or just angry, and you're wondering why you're angry. So it's just a build-up of stress. And those little things that we ignore, like holding our pee. I was still thinking about it today. Please, urinary tract infection is real, and so we should not hold our pee. I know many times you just say, let me just take this one more period, and until you're dancing and you're thinking, why are you dancing? Then you now run out. So holding your pee, not eating, and then waiting till you're having ulcer, you're having pain at the middle of the term, then you're taking excuses for pain in your stomach. Please, let's make these little things a priority. Some people I eat as early as 6:30. That works for me. Some people can't eat that early. And so because of that, cereal is my go-to, and then I just take cereal before 7. Then I try to eat again maybe by 2. Some other people don't know how to eat early. So that means you need to find some time to eat before maybe 10, 11. But let's just
try.
You can also rely on snacks, you know. We call it pambola in my school. You just keep it in your bag, and once in a while you try to just, even if it's apple, something healthy, and it can be biscuits, just so that, and then stay hydrated. Thank you for saying that. Drink water. I think last time I said put my bottle on the table so that my children can keep me accountable. And then we start having water breaks in my class. So that way they are like, okay, so Mrs. Micah, you to carry your bottle. They even go and fill it for me. Make sure you finish it the same way I did today. Make sure you finish it. Let us see. Okay. And somehow we've been able to keep ourselves accountable. So those little things that we ignore. Meanwhile, you are fighting your children for not finishing their food. You are fighting them for not taking water. And you're not doing the same. So sometimes having them be your police might help you, Someone says tea does not count as breakfast. Someone is saying tea does not count as breakfast.
Part of it.
Miss Sonia is raising her hand. She's objecting that. Okay, and I'll just crown it up by saying, like I've said earlier, what works for you. Some people have to start their days having a devotion or meditating or journaling, and then it just gives them a great day. If that is you, please make it a priority. Like I've said, understand yourself and do what works for you. If you know that when you start your day praying, it just makes you feel great, please do it. I need to journal every morning when I wake up. I need to meditate. I need to read a verse in the Bible and just meditate on it. Make sure you understand what worked for you and try to incorporate it. So it means that you want to go to bed early so that you can wake up early enough to do that before work. Because with teachers, it looks like having routines in the morning can be really difficult. But then if you think getting to work early and then you do it there, or waking up earlier and then you do it before you leave the house, find what works for you. I also shared some self-care tips you can do in your classroom to help you and your children at the same time. I shared them sometime last year, like self-care bingos, sharing kindness podcasts, journaling in the classroom, 5 to 10 minutes, and then you join them. Somehow you feel relaxed, it helps you, and it also helps your children. So all of these little things here and there at the end of the day sums up self-care. It's not really something that is written down. It's really about you understanding what stresses you out and what relaxes you, and incorporating the things that relaxes you and taking out the things that stresses you out. If you have any question, you can ask so that I can, but I think I've...
Yeah, I think I have, but yeah. So you talked about saying no. Some people work
Say that again. You talked about
saying no. Like saying no whenever you can, just you're overwhelmed. Some people work in organizations where they won't even ask you. You'll just see your name in one email. As if they won't even, you'll just see your name and like, God, anything you want to do, well, you're there. You have to do it. Like you just see your name there. So I'm looking at, we are talking about everybody really wants that work-life balance. Nobody loves, or nobody really should stay back at work for hours. Nobody. What I do is get into work an hour early. So when it's 3, I'm out. That's what I do. But nobody really should that. But then some of the teachers here work in organizations whereby your no is in your pocket. As long as you're collecting salary, and we try to empathize with school owners as well. They're trying to make ends meet. It's not easy and all of that. But how can we get ourselves to be on the same page? Yes, I want to do the work. I want to work. I want to help the children. I want to teach. I want to nurture. But I cannot nurture if I'm not healthy. But then I know some teachers are busy, but there are some teachers who are actually very sincere. Like I had to leave a job because I was telling the person I was to have a surgery the next day, and she was more focused on the meeting she wanted to have. I'm like, okay, so how do we all just get to be on the same page? Because it's very easy to talk about self-care, but if you're working in an organization whereby nobody's listening to you, how do we get to that point where we are all on the same page?
So you have just shared the reality, and sincerely, sometimes you must have paid the price to you must have paid the price in quotes to be able to say no to something. Sometimes it might be accepting and delegating and not necessarily saying no. So it's really finding out what works. But I really I think that many times when we discuss issues that concern teachers, I wish school owners and administrators and head teachers could actually be part of it, because many times they're actually the ones that make us end up overwhelmed and burned out. I remember having a conversation with a school owner and her teachers. We're discussing teacher burnout, and she actually owned up and started apologizing to two teachers right there, that with everything she has heard today, she wants to believe she has burned them out. And she was focused on two of them because she felt they were the only ones that always submitted tasks that she gave them at the right time. So she stopped using other people. But she didn't realize until we started discussing it. And then she apologized to them right there in that training that we were having, and said she will try to trust other people to do it. So sometimes they don't even realize that, because your name, so if you are very effective and you are timely, your name just happens to be that first name that comes to their mind, and they are quick to just say, oh, do this for me, oh, do that, oh, she must be in that team, she must be in that committee, forgetting that that person is human and might get burned down and start becoming ineffective. Then you would not remember. You would start saying, what is even happening with her? She's not as she used to be, you know? So I think we need to maybe we need to start having more conversations with our school owners, our head teachers, and those that are actually in charge. Even as teachers, sometimes you have an assistant. Do you know when you should draw a line? So you have assigned A, B, C, D to her. You've told her that she must get it up before the end of the day, and then you're adding E, F, G. Like, come on. So sometimes we ourselves, we do it to other teachers, right? To our associate teachers, to our assistant teachers, and we are complaining that our head teachers are doing it to us. So you see some kind of cycle that when you have the opportunity to break it, you make it continue. So I would say that sometimes your no might even be lead to a query. But then when you can, you should. Sometimes you might need to ask, okay, can I delegate it to this person? Let the person know that I have ABC to do and I won't be able to meet up. Can I delegate to this person? And I think that's all I can say. I don't know if Miss OJ wants to say something. Miss OJ she's a head teacher. Maybe she'll say something.
Okay.
Okay, so in all honesty, I have sat down to analyze all my teachers based on their characters, based on the boundaries that they set from the very first day I met them, and based on their level of deliverables. And I realized that, honestly, I don't treat all of them equally. If I tell you that what I apply for Mr. A is what I do for Mr. B, it's an absolute lie. So the truth is, if you want to take your self-help, your self-care seriously, you have to set healthy boundaries from the first day you walk into the organization. For example, Ms. Sonia just said something. She arrives an hour early and leaves by 3. It becomes her culture. I used to have an effective teacher like that. She is so effective, but please don't keep her beyond her closing time. Because as she's leaving, in fact, she's going to change from the school premises. She's going to hang out with her girls. So she, by her attitude, her routine, and her culture, she automatically sets unsaid boundaries. So I don't need to say it, but I saw it. So when you give her a task, she goes, oh, Miss OJ, oh, this is fantastic. I'll give it to you first thing tomorrow morning. Oh, I'll get it done by the end of this week. That's useful. Setting boundaries. However, some of us are already in places where we can no longer set these boundaries because, let me use the word, they don't see us finish. So, but how do you go about it? See, in all honesty, it is never late. It is never late to set boundaries.
Never late.
There's something that's happening. There's a trend that's happening in my place of work now. Before I started working there, they don't close late. And me, by nature, I'm now. So the moment everybody is gone and the whole energies have left the building, that's when I want to start working. So because of me, everybody starts staying back. I'm not talking about the teachers now. I'm talking about the members of the management, including my boss. So if she even hears that, oh, I'm coming to work on Saturday, before you know, she's coming to work on Saturday as well. So I now saw that my own personal routine was beginning to affect the structure that was already in place. And then she came this time and told me that, Miss OJ, when do you want all the teachers out of this building? They close by 4, but I'm going to give them an hour. If they can stay, if they want to stay for an hour extra, good and fine. So she now went to set a law that every teacher must leave this building by 5, whether you're done or you're not. And then she turned and she looked at me, Miss OJ, you 30 minutes extra. Whether you are done or you're not done, you're going to leave the school. Because my personality was beginning to affect the entire organization. That's me. But I have people on my team that the moment they pick their bag by 4 o'clock, I cannot tell them to go back because of effectiveness. So ask yourself, what have you done to earn the privilege of saying no? We are realistic here. I'm not going to say you don't have a right to say no. Of course, you have a right to say no, but you know what I'm talking about. It's a school. You know, the school sees teachers as members of a family rather than employed staff. I don't know why it's that way for a school. But what have you done? So if, for example, now I will sit in my office and I'm going for conferences, I will just send a message to my boss, oh ma, I want to go for a conference. And she said, oh, okay, no problem. The other day, a radio station invited me. I sent a message to her, oh, I'm going for an interview. I'll be out between this time and this time. And then she went, oh, okay. The moment I came back, she was the first person that asked me, how did it go? Why? Because to an extent, I have earned that ability to do what? To do certain things for myself within the work hour, because she has trusted that as long as I am there, if it's in my control, nothing will go wrong with her school. So what have you set? What story have you told with the job that you have done? Your colleagues will not resume school. They say everybody resumes third. They are coming on 7th, nothing to them. But the day you say you want to come on 4th, they are taking out of your salary. Ask yourself, what have you done wrong? My art teacher did not show up till last week Monday. When he came, I went to something. I just said, I'm going to take out. I just finished talking. But I know that as soon as I've seen him, he's going to deliver. I have this painting behind me here. He groomed a child to do this. So this is a child's work. I don't think the child is up to 10-year-old. So, and he was able to deliver this less than 1 year. So now that he did not show up when I wanted him to show up, I'm making excuses for him because I know he's good when it comes to his delivery. So yes, please. I'm just giving you guys inside information. If you want them to treat you behave differently. That's true.
Okay. What Ms. OJ was saying, it just brought to my mind that I think, so what she has tried to tell us is that integrity goes a long way. Because sometimes we actually see it as that's the head teacher's favorite teacher. So it's not favoritism sometimes, because they have delivered over time. Yeah. And sometimes it looks like the head teacher is making excuses for them, not because they are favorite, but because these teachers have stood out. And so even the day they come late, she's saying, I'm very sure something is wrong. Yeah.
That's
so we have to ask ourselves as teachers, have you paid that price? Have you shown integrity?
Have you paid your due?
That when you say, oh, no, I cannot, the person would even actually say, okay. But when you give excuses for everything, come on, no will not make any sense. So integrity goes a long way. Thank you for sharing that. But then I also think that, Miss OJ, I know you're very professional and your perspective is quite different from many head teachers out there. So I'm sure some people would just be wondering that I wish Miss OJ is my own next child then, because I'm sure that all this one that she's saying. So I think it still falls back to the fact that school head teachers or line managers need to understand all these things, because Ms. OJ is speaking for our school and herself. If you want to be realistic, it doesn't happen in every school, and many people have set boundaries, but their boundaries don't count.
But
They've set clear boundaries.
Sorry to cut you short. Have you noticed that in every school there is always that teacher that can walk in and walk out at any time they want?
Yeah, and nobody would mess with the person.
Them. Those are
True.
that set these boundaries from day one. They did it from the very first day.
Yeah, I think the issue, the one something else that is coming to my mind is the teachers themselves, your charisma, the way you carry yourself. I think how do I put it now? There's a mindset that teachers have, right? There's a mindset that they have. They feel like they are the bottom of the ladder. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So they feel like, I can't say no. Yeah. I can't do. Do you understand? That's just the average mindset of a Nigerian teacher. Even if you are paying for an average Nigerian teacher to go for a training, they'll still have 1,000,001 excuses why they can't go for that training. Yeah. They have excuses for everything. So I think their mindsets, first of all, need to change. Miss Mika was saying something. She said, "Have you paid your dues?"
Yeah.
What have you brought? What value have you added to that organization? What have you brought to the table that will make you an extension in every case? That's what you need to first of all think about before you say, "Okay, Miss Tonia, you remember that post I made on Instagram about?"
I was about to say now.
Yeah, about clothing at a particular time. It's still the same thing we're talking about.
Yeah.
Why should you close at that time when you're supposed to close if you've not done what you're supposed to do? So if you've not done what you're supposed to do, you have no right to say you want to close at the time that you agreed on your contract. It's just as simple as. But if you've done what you're supposed to do, if you've put in the work, then nobody can say, "Oh, don't go," because you've already done everything that you're supposed to do. So you can go the time that you're supposed to go. So I think that the teachers need to first of all change their mindset. They need to first of all put a value on themselves. I don't know how you get to teach everybody in the world and you don't know that you are valuable. It's my imagination.
Preach.
Yes, because we are the ones, in fact, teachers are the ones that are supposed to be writing books, because you get to teach one subject over and over. There are some teachers, they don't even need their lesson notes to write notes on the board.
That's true.
Because they're writing it over and over and over. And why is it that you don't even have any self-confidence, no self-esteem, nothing? Why? Because you are being paid for
you around.
So you are measuring yourself by the salary that you earn. And it's not right. It shouldn't be.
So we need to work on our mindset.
Very good.
Somebody is saying some schools don't see what you have done. They just enjoy. No, see, let me tell you something from experience. They see what you are doing. They see what you are doing. If you say today I want to go, they will hold you back. In fact, they will increase your salary. I'm speaking from experience.
And there are some people that they will not even blink.
They won't blink. So when I was younger, my dad used to say something. He would say, then if I complain about schoolwork and all that, he would say, when you find yourself in place, make yourself irreplaceable. Do so much work that when you leave, it will be difficult to fill your shoes. They see what you're doing, but because you two are just taking, if you don't, like Miss Maureen said, if you don't put some respect on your name, they'll disrespect you. They see your work. They know you're a hard worker. I'm naturally a hard worker. So I was promoted last year, and I just realized that, I come in earlier than everybody in my team because my house is 15 minutes away. But you see that 3 o'clock, except we are having a training, I don't joke with it. From to 3, I'm already booking my cab to wherever it is I'm going. I don't, because I come in an hour early. So even the days when I come in after 7, so there's this rule of once it's after resumption, they'll take your salary. It has happened to me like twice or 3 times. Nobody touched my salary because they're like, you would even be hearing from the door, Miss Tonya, what happened to you? Usually come in and you guess, and then I put in the work. So, and that's another thing. Some of us are just laid back.
Yeah.
Some of us are just, well, let me just collect my salary and go home. I lead a team, but I still put in the work. I was still cutting paper for one thing I wanted to teach. And I was telling my assistant that you'll be doing more of the lessons now because I want you to actually go. There was another teacher who told me, a lead teacher, that was saying, why are your TAs teaching? Why are they doing lesson plan? And I'm like, I don't understand.
How do they grow?
Why don't they do it? Everybody must do it. So because they see you, the lead, putting in the work, they are willing to put in the work too. So I sometimes compensate them by buying them small chops or buying drinks. Like maybe on a Friday, I'll just do something nice for them, or just something that will just make them happy. I always crack jokes in class, cause I'm always cracking jokes, just to make them, feel at ease. The school sees what you're doing. You're the one not seeing yourself. You've not looked in the mirror to see yourself. That is why you feel like they take advantage of you. They call me small, but you cannot.
Yeah.
You can't.
I think it's about you.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's about you.
Yeah.
There's a place myself and Maureen worked many years ago, Miss Maureen. You know the school I'm talking about. Now, but funny enough, I don't know why we did not know ourselves at that time. We're on different campuses. Now, the value that school put on its teacher is amazing. And I would say it till date. I haven't seen it anywhere. I haven't seen, I was living in that vicinity and I thought that was a bank. So when I see teachers close and they're coming into their cars, I'm like, wow, what bank is this? And the Holy Spirit led me to that school in the dream of the night. So I looked at myself, I said, how will they employ me with no qualifications? And I got into that. So the value that the school placed on that system. However, in that same school, I still did not know my value because I did not come with the paper. Fresh graduate, I didn't come with the paper. Until one day I sat down, I started measuring the results I am putting out and the results that, because the class I was taking, they had 3 arms, and the results that my other colleagues were putting out. Then I also observed and I saw that for every problematic step, kids with autism, special needs kids, not really extreme, they were all bringing them to my class. So at first, I thought because I was doing a bad job, so they were coming to dump them. I didn't know that I was doing a good job. They were bringing them for me to fix them. So when I observed that this is a value I'm bringing to this organization, and nobody is looking at it, nobody is seeing it, I made up my mind that I was going to go. Now, do you know that the day I was going to resign, I walked up to the admin and I said, I want to see you, man. Now, this is someone that never told me you are doing a great job, thank you, nothing, absolutely nothing in the years I spent there. And then she turned and looked at me and she said, if you know you are coming to resign, just know that I have said no already. And in my mind, it was a shocker. Me that I was thinking that I would hear thank God. Why are you saying so that he said no? That she just said, if you are coming to resign, Miss OJ, he said no.
Don't put her.
It just clicked. And then immediately I told her that, okay, I'm going somewhere else, I will be back. I went home and I thought about it. I was like, so these people, they knew the value I was bringing on board, but they did not mention. So that is what someone just said now, that you also need to mention your value.
Yes, measure your value.
After that, the head of the school called me on phone and she said, so just said that you want to resign. Now remember, I did not say I wanted to resign. She just said, if you know you want to resign, I have rejected it. And I just stood and I smiled and I left. So the head of school said, the admin just called me that you want to resign. What is the problem? If it's money, we're going to increase your salary by so and so. We are going to pay you an accommodation. And I went, excuse me. So you knew that I needed an accommodation. You knew I deserved the salary increase.
That is another problem I have.
So exactly. So why do we why do school owners
why do we wait? Yeah. So you wait till somebody,
because they think you don't know your value. So
exactly. If you don't know your value, everybody will play on you. Exactly. That's just exactly what Miss Tonya said earlier.
Yeah, and it really shouldn't be. I shouldn't have to come and tell you I want to resign before you now do the
before you think really I deserve more.
So this is one thing I always tell anybody. If you feel that you're not valued, like you know your value and you feel, please leave. There are schools that will take you. You see that threat of, there was a person that said, there was a woman that said, there are other people out there looking, when you start telling me, there are people out there looking for jobs, I'm like, and there are schools out there that will take me in the twinkle of an eye. Because I know my value. I know if I leave where I'm working today, I know how many schools will do for me. Because I went in solution driven, and one area I really said I was going to talk about. Yes, you're a teacher, you just don't collect your salary. You want people to value you, you need to come correct. You need to come correct. You can't just come and say, hey, boy, I'm teaching. What else are you doing? What value are you? Okay, yeah, those children are coming, are they just coming and going? So some teachers, the children just pass through their class and that's it. They just no value. They're just like that. Then you start hearing things like, it's in the next class the parents will be saying this. Now I know my child is learning. So what value? You just want to come collect your salary. Once they give you a task, your face has already gone. You almost die. They're giving all this. You need to come correct. You want value. You want to be respected. Come correct. If you don't come correct, I'm a leader too. I always tell people in my team, we laugh and we play, but if you don't come correct, really, I'll just push. So that is me. It's something I'm working on. If I see that you're not coming correct, you're not matching my energy because I'm very energetic, I will just leave you. Like, well, you don't want to grow, so and then you'll be there. 7 years, you're still there, TA, assistant teacher, and even if they make you a class teacher, they will don't.
That's 7 years.
Yeah, and sometimes they will even do sympathy promotion and then give you one strong TA. They did it to me, and I just said, you know what, it's time for me to take I was a TA, and I'm like, nah, I deserve to be here. You can't just put me with someone who is weak, and then, why not make me the main person? And then I just carried my bag and I left. I do, because I don't like stress and I hate talking. So instead of talking too much, I just, the way Jesus just said, dust your shoes. You move. So if you want to be valued, you need to come correct.
Yeah.
You can't come and be saying to take advantage of you. Yeah, I hear all those stories. I hear all the stuff stories. I hear how teachers complain and all of that. So why are you saying in a place where you're not valued?
Mm-hmm.
You know your value. Why are you staying there? Don't stay put, move. And if they feel they can adjust, they will adjust for you. They will put a seat at the table for you if you come correct. So you come correct first. Put a value on yourself. Come with solution. Some people don't even just say, keep managing. Come correct, and then they will value you.
Now, about coming correct, in the place I'm working currently, there is a salary benchmark. We don't go above that so that we don't overshoot our budget. But there's someone that we employed on Wednesday that he is coming 150% more than our benchmark. You understand? 150% more than our benchmark. So because of that guy, we went back to our entire budget to redesign the budget just so that the school can fit him in. That's how correct he's coming. Now, should I tell you a shocker? He has just 1 year teaching experience. 1 year.
Wow.
But this guy is
with energy.
Fully loaded.
Like for energy.
Loaded.
That's my kind of person. He came hungry.
I am saying this for teachers that you've been moving around for 10 years, 15 years. You've been carrying that your degree, your TRCN up and down. Fire is coming into to take your jobs. Let me just put it that way. This young people with no experience Recipients.
They are coming. They are coming hot. You know, I remember when the first place I worked when I finished my N1. In fact, I served there. I was a copper there, and I had to sit back and I looked at the teachers that were there. Those that had been there for a very long time. A lot of them were just tired, and they're just there. So it was like, yeah, I had to like, when I got in, I was a sponge because I didn't have any teaching degree. I'm an economist, so I just had to, I was just picking up everywhere I could learn from. And I had to tell myself something that, no, as old as I get, I would never be at the point where I'm just dormant, where I am just dormant. A lot of teachers just go in and then they just stay. I've worked for 12, I've been 25 years. And with the young ones, we are coming like we are putting your I don't want anybody. I just told myself that I don't want anybody to be on my toes. Like, I want to be aware of everything that is going on around me. If it's tech, if it's this, I want to be there. I have the energy now, so let me just put it to use. So that's another thing. Don't just stay and stay. Don't be too comfortable because they are coming. They are coming in hot. And with that, we are elite. We're already making the profession look much more admirable than it used to be. So now they want a piece of cake. Yeah, so you just there 10 years, somebody will come now, be earning times 2 of your salary, and you are complaining. But you've been dormant.
Yeah.
But you just stay put dormant and you are complaining about the salary. And that's another area I'm coming to. Teacher's salary. I think at some point I said I was going to relocate to Abuja because I'm like this Lagos. Yeah. But then that's another area. I get tired of, I'm in the profession, but I actually get tired of just complaining about the salary. I see a lot of, you look at the foreign teachers, you see them doing a lot of stuff. You go on teachers pay teachers, you see teachers sitting out top there, and you're like, what are you, okay, what are you doing? You can be earning this and you can be doing other things. Nobody is holding it back. That's another cycle. I'm like, can we just break out of that thing? Can we just like come out of that box? It's enough. Yes, we've heard your salary. The truth is nobody is going to pay you. I can be collecting 1 million and still feel like I deserve it. Nobody will pay you. But people, they will just pay you what they feel they can give, offer you. They cannot give you what you offer. So, like, can we just talk about that for a second? Why are teachers just stay classroom? A lot of times I try to look for teachers online, like doing stuff online, and they are just very few. I can go to somebody's Instagram page, I see teacher per extension, and that's all, maybe 2 or 3 pictures of themselves, and I'm like, okay. You get, okay, I go on LinkedIn, okay, what is there about you? Yeah, teacher, because if you're putting teacher in your bio, so I should see other stuff. I should see things that you're doing. Yeah. Why are we just like boxed in?
I think
we can't even say that our school.
No, the common answer is there's no time, and that answer I don't know. I don't know. Teachers don't have time. I don't know why people are still saying that, but that's a big excuse.
Well, see, the truth is, first of all, about the salary. Is there anybody here that is working for someone and they are not paying you what you signed to receive? Can you wave in there? Yeah.
You know, some people don't read their contract.
Okay, that's but I want to believe that 80% of the time, after the interview, when it's time for negotiation, they will tell us something, we will say something, and we'll reach an agreement, and then we'll start the job, isn't it? So this means that you can agree with me that the salary, we are in control of the salary, right? Because you agreed to earn that certain amount. Now, over the years, what I have learned is it's not all about, first of all, yes, we talked about value, coming correct, but there are 2 ways to come correct. First of all, you as a person. come correct. Secondly, your CV. You know you are a person, your CV is a person. Because I have seen people with, you know, when they send their CVs to me, I'm like, wow, 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 wow. And then when I see them, I go, so now what?
You're wondering, I do now. I do not document.
What I do now is, please don't even come to my office to take out of my time. Once you send me the CV, do a video, record yourself teaching something, and then send to me, right? That's what I do. So from there, I know if I should invite you or don't bother coming. So, what value have you added to yourself as a person? That is intentionally learning and mastering a concept or the concept of teaching you as a person. Intentionally mastering your content. That's one. Then intentionally getting certifications to back up all that you have learned. Because your paper must show what you can do. Because sometimes you may not have the opportunity to express yourself. You may not be given the opportunity to express yourself. So adding value to yourself and your CV. Now it is not enough. We can't stop at adding value to ourselves and our CVs. You have to articulate your value. You have to because if you don't articulate this value, you would not know. Now, here I am, heading a team of teachers. Then one day I randomly find out that more than a certain percentage of the people I'm leading, they're earning more than me. And I was so angry. Excuse me. Literally, I was designing their work. This is what I was doing. I will sit down, create their scheme. I will design their worksheets. I will give to them. And all they need to do is deliver. In fact, I will design the scheme in such a way that besides the scheme, there are activities that they will do to make their classroom interactive. But they were earning more than me. So you know what I did? I went back home and I sat down and I articulated my value. And I wrote a letter to my boss mentioning 21 things I have done in that school since I started working in that school. I listed it out, and at the end, I said, with all of this, I am demanding, I'm not asking, I am demanding for a 59% increase on my salary or I resign. You may ask, why 59? Because I calculated the highest that the person in my team was earning, and now added time to ensure that I was receiving, I'm going to be earning twice the salary. So 21, I wrote down the point. Now see what I did. I started in that school as a teacher, but I ensured that my influence was beyond the border of my classroom. That means that every teacher, as far as I was concerned, what I was doing in my classroom that was exceptional, I ensured that I was able to multiply it in every class to such a point that my influence was beyond my classroom, beyond the school, and to the houses of the parents. So I can tell you now that when I came to that school, we had 100% retainership of every student influenced by me. Do you understand? So I go beyond my classroom and I have communication, relationship with these parents. So what I do is, I know that, you know, in every community of parents, there is a leader. So I bond with the leader and I become friends with the leader, check on them. So the leader, when someone is trying to leave the school, the leader will now inform me, I will now attack the parents. That's what I was doing. So for the 3 years I was in the classroom, I did that for 3 years. So if anybody left the school, relocation, or they couldn't afford the school fees anymore. So this is what I was doing. So I wrote down, I'm telling you, I still have that letter. I said I was going to share it, but it's not a Zoom section. Maybe I'll share it one day so we can read. 21 things I did, I was doing in that school, demanding that salary. So now when my boss read the letter, she called me. Do you know what she told me? She said, Miss Oje, who is spoiling you? That was the shocker. That was the day I knew that she knew my value, but because I have not sat with my value to articulate my value, to put my value in her face, she thought I did not know, and she was changing me because I am passionate. I shouldn't suffer for my passion. I should be rewarded for my passion. I shouldn't suffer for my passion. So when I did that, and she wasn't forthcoming, she kept on posting me, procrastinating. We'll meet on this day, we'll meet on that day. You know what I did? I heard that one of her recruitment agencies, that's the agency that recruits for the school, the previous head of the school was internal head for another school. And I dressed up that day and I went for the interview. Now, remember, I had no plans of leaving my school, but I went for the interview. And when I went there, she looked at me, she said, Miss Ojo, why are you here? You know, for one, I know you. I can't interview you because I know what you can bring. And I said, ma, I'm trying to measure my value in the market. Now, please, I'm not sharing this because I feel like, well, I'm just trying to make you guys draw practical experience from this. And I told, I said, I want to measure my market value because I've been here for 4 years. I want to, what's my worth in the market? So I want you to pretend as if I'm not the one and interview me. He said, no. I insisted. And she interviewed me the way she was interviewing every other person. Then at the end of the interview, she sat me down. Sorry, please. I don't know why this light is blinking. At the end of the interview, she sat me down and said, Miss Oje, do you want to leave so and so? I said, no. And she said, what are you earning there? I told her, and she screamed. She said, I am going to talk to her. If she's not going to increase your salary, I'll pull you out of there. And then she called her. I don't know how they discussed, but my boss came back to me as, oh, Miss Oje, I feel so betrayed. You went for an interview. And I told her to her face, I did not go for the interview because I wanted to. Because if I want to leave, I will leave. I did not sign any contract. I went there because I wanted you, another person. Another person should see my value. If you don't, I know she knew my value. And that was how, the day I finally decided that, okay, she doesn't want to do it. I'm going to walk away. And I told her that I wanted to have a meeting with her outside the school. Now, outside the school, because she's the owner of the school, I don't want to be under that pressure of, oh, this is my boss. Let's go somewhere neutral so that we can talk. She knew what I was going to say. And then she brought out a paper and said, okay, so Miss Oje, there's a new hierarchy. Now, I was leading the team from a classroom. There's a new hierarchy now. So we're pulling you out of the classroom. We're going to be heading the school now. And your salary is going to come to this amount. So she started telling me what she's going to do without me mentioning anything. Because for me to demand that meeting, the only thing is I wanted to resign. And that was how, from that meeting, my salary doubled, went above what I was asking for. And I worked with her for the next 1 year. Now, I learned something. You said the salary that I got, that I was jubilating. The people that left my former place of work with me, they were already earning more than that because they did not stay. When it comes to their career, they were more transactional. I was emotional. So they are moving good. And you know that they cannot earn lower. So they kept on moving and the salaries kept on going higher.
Well,
so what I was earning as the head of school at that time was what they were earning in the classroom. And that's when I knew that I need to move somewhere else that will pay me a certain amount. And then I applied for a tech job. And I went into a tech place. And you know how crazy tech people can pay, right? And I got a tech job. And that gave me the salary that I wanted. So coming back into the educational space, I cannot drop. My salary cannot drop anymore. Even though they cannot pay as high as a tech company will pay, at least they pay me to a certain level that is comfortable. So we have to get to the point where we will stop looking at it. Teaching is a calling, but where you are working is a platform for career advancement. And when it comes to your career advancement, it is transactional. The moment another person better than you walks into your organization, I'm telling you, you will cease to exist. So ask yourself, I hope you are not overpaying, because someone that has, this is so practical, because right now, I am heading a school, and I know a colleague that did not move from where he was. He has been there all this while that I have moved 3 places, 3 jobs. Now, his salary is half minus I'm not. When we were working, Miss Mary, I'm talking about someone you know. When we were working in that school together, he was a senior staff. I was a baby. I just joined the profession. Now, what I'm earning, if I give to then take away some, that's what he's earning as a senior staff in, because he has stayed in one job
for that is another problem.
10,000, they will have 20, they will have 50, but someone is going to shoot you up. 5, 10, 20, highest 50, highest 50. So ask yourself, where you are working now, where you are right now, are you there emotionally, or you are there because you're supposed to be there? You want to earn higher, my darling, you have to look for where the senior leads are. You will go there and guess what? Because it's very, very practical. Because your salary, you cannot control your income as a Christian. I believe we're all Christians here, because it's God that takes care of you. But what you can control is your salary. So except you are being led to remain in a place, please, your job should be transactional. The day 1,000 times I wanted to leave my previous place of job because I was fed up, but my spirit did not allow me. So I knew God wanted me to learn something. But you know, the day I was done was I was going to move into another office. So I walked into the space to design the office. So I started designing it mentally. And I thought, okay, my feet is going to be here, the microwave is going to be here, my chair. And then I lost my feet. And I started crying. I said, oh, my time is up. That was the day I knew my time. But you know what? I did not leave until God settled me. So I got somewhere else. So I had this in my spirit in May, but I didn't leave until August, when I had already gotten another place. But I was already preparing the heart of everybody around that I was not going to be there anymore. So please, I'm going to list it out. Add value to yourself. So that let it not be that I'm looking at your CV and looking as if you are lying. Add value to yourself first. Then add value to your CV. Then sit down and articulate the value. Write it down. What can you do? What have you done? What pattern can you repeat in your current place of work? That's your value. Then know it. Then sing it. Know it. Sing it. You should be able to walk up to your colleagues, your line managers, and ask them to do an appraisal. Tell you what you have, the value you have brought into them. I do it. I ask my junior colleagues, I ask people in the management, I ask the students, what do you think has changed since I came to this school? I'm going to my value book and I'm adding it. Then, when you have done this, present your value, and most importantly, put it at the back of your head, and as a teacher, let your influence go beyond the border of the classroom. Let it be that a parent wants to start a school, or they have a friend that wants to start a school, and they're looking for a head. Even if you're not going to leave your school, they should be able to recommend you. They should be able to. So I know the primary one teacher in this school, she is very good. Call her. That is influence. And when you have done this together, at the back of your mind, love your job, serve your job, but have it here that your job is business. Make emotional decision when it comes to. In fact, that's number one, love money. You don't spend money with your emotions. So your job is not an emotional place. You love them. See, the owner of your school can love you from the UK. She can still, the person that was heading before me, the owner of my school calls her. They love themselves. They can love you from afar. It's time for you to go. Don't put yourself there. The salary will not. See that 10,000 they've asked your salary is well. You used to buy book. So that's what I'm going to just salary.
Oh my God.
Wow.
This was good. Like my head. And the thing,
Wow, Mr. Thank you.
Yeah, the part of staying in one place for a very long time, the low salary thing, yeah, I can relate with that. But the only difference is me, I know I already told myself from the beginning, I was not going to stay put in a place. You know, all those 10 years, yeah, it works for some people, but I knew it wasn't going to work for me. I knew it wasn't going to work for me. So I was like, okay, you know what, at this point, in fact, someone had told me, did someone told me, it was last day, someone told me that your passion is your weakness. That was why I just told myself, oh, my. I think that statement made me go, like, okay, I think I've been doing a lot of emotions, like you said, for the children, for the this one, for the that one. I can't remember. There was time a colleague said something. He said the children will forget you because they've been with you for 20 years. At some point in their life, they will forget about you. Yeah, only few will remember you, but some will forget you. So you saying I want to because of the children, I love them so much. Okay, they will move on. You need to continue. If you're stuck in a place and you feel like you're so good, it's time for you to go. And that even applies to if you're the one, like you're the one adding value and every other person is like you're just that attitude of the one eye man in the place of blind people. It's time for you to move too. You need to get value. You can't just keep pouring and pouring and pouring. It's hard. You just
Yes.
take it.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot too. I'm here to learn.
But you've left us in our space now. Yeah, I see you now.
Okay. I don't even know what to say. Oh my God. All right. So, what's the question? Did you ask me a question?
Yeah, I was asking if you had anything else to add.
What Miss Oji said is just like she has said everything. She has said it all. We're talking about the fact that, or we're talking about the teachers that usually stay in a place for so long a time. I think a place I worked about 4 years ago, I think some like that still there today. And I'm just wondering, like, people don't want to grow up, people don't want to earn more. And then I think teachers have this self-sabotaging attitude, right? They sabotage themselves. Instead of you to move to somewhere that you earn more, somewhere that you'll be more exposed to best practices, what's happening globally, you would just stay in a place, either because it's very close to your house. You know, like, you just look at the proximity of their work places. I'm not talking about Lagos people now. Lagos people, they have all the rights in this world to be very close to their houses. Working in a place just because it's close to your house, you don't want to go somewhere else. You don't want to see what is happening somewhere else. You don't want to see what people are doing in the world. You don't want to broaden your horizon. You just stay in one place. Adding, like Mr. said, adding that you use and buy coke. It just makes sense. Seriously, that place I worked 4 years ago, getting close to 5 years now. Like Miss said, I'm telling you, I'm not exaggerating. They are not even earning up to what I'm earning right now. And I'm not working for anybody. You've been working in the classroom for how long? Right? You're supposed to have so much in there that you'll be able to bring out. What are you producing? What are you creating? You don't create, teachers don't create anything. Feel like, okay, well, I'm not talking about teachers world over, maybe Nigerian teachers to be precise. We don't create anything. If you see teachers abroad, they have stores on teachers' pages. They have stores. What's this other one? You go and see their works. You see what they are creating. Like Miss Tonya just said, you open a teacher's page on Instagram, you just see two pictures, right? International teacher, this teacher. Like, what are you people doing? You people are not putting it out. If you don't put it out there, number one, nobody will see you. Nobody will see what you're doing. Apart from the fact that where you are working, they know your value, but they might not want to speak of it. You have to put yourself out there so that opportunities will come to you. The world right now is a global village. People everywhere can connect to you. I think on this live, I saw somebody that I worked with from India at the beginning of this live. I saw her. She joined, and we don't know ourselves from anywhere. It's just from this instant. So there are opportunities everywhere. You're not putting yourself out there. How is the opportunity to find you? House. It's just like someone looking to get married, and you stay at home every day, and you're thinking you're going to get married. It doesn't work that way, right? So you're supposed to brand your work, what you've done. You're supposed to, in fact, she said it all. Articulate your value.
Articulate your value.
When they call Maureen or Jobo, everybody knows early years literacy. You don't even have to think twice. If your child doesn't know how to read and they call Maureen or Jobo, in the next few months, your child will start reading. Your niche, what are you doing? Have you been able to identify that, oh, this is what I can do very well? Have you been able to build yourself up in that niche? Have you been able to get certification in that niche? What have you been able to do? Or are we just saying, oh, you're just a teacher, everything goes?
Yeah, I'm just a teacher.
It doesn't work that way.
For 10 years. I've been teaching for 12 years.
20 years experience.
God, somebody was saying that teachers get crucified. My darling, people will always talk. They talk about Jesus, they talk about Moses, they talk about God. In fact, they castigate God on this social media every day. And it has not stopped him from doing God. Focus on your focus. The school where you're looking at the people of our own growth. That's a business. You are just there. Focus on your own growth. Look at the bigger picture of your life. From the moment I stepped into the classroom, I already knew when I wanted to retire. I told myself I was not going to wait till I was 40. I'm already starting my plans. You need to focus on your focus. It's not about, that's whatever I'm doing. I'm already looking. What else can I do? What am I going to do? Because I've told myself you want to salary. It's full of that. I want to do. They are connected to the after school. And somebody from your family focus on this life of the teacher for you to come out of the box, for you to break out of that you're not meant to be more than what you are. You are bigger than what you are. The Bible is bigger than what you are. And when you put something, it's take. So you are in a place and you're not adding things. You are the light of the world. You need to shine. If you're not shining, then there's no point. You need to shine. Even if I was rabbi, they call him rabbi. So you need to shine. You need to step out of that. What would you say? And the world is focus on your focus. Look at the bigger picture of your life. Map out your plan. Nobody else will do it. From life is too short to take a more opportunity.
Okay, there was something I didn't mention when I was speaking. Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Now,
Okay.
I want us to also note that your value in the market yesterday is not your value today. let your value evolve with trends, with educational trends. Now, you know what affects teachers the most is because we are so focused inside our classroom. The world will move on and leave you. There are teachers that I'm speaking to you right now. They don't know IGCSE. They don't know apps, educational apps. They don't know what is EdTech. Most of them left their jobs during COVID. Why? Because they refuse to move with educational trends. There was something that happened in my place of work. Sorry, I'm a storyteller. Last month, we were going to get Cambridge certification, and the person that's supposed to stand as the principal, I'm the principal, but I should have the certification. So they now wanted to go and hire somebody to come in to replace me for that day because I don't have the certification. I go home that day, I was sad. Like, you could pick sadness from my skin. I was like, this is an insult. For someone else to come and replace me just because I don't have something. I felt genuinely bad. But you know what happened? The following day, my boss, amazing woman, wherever she is, I'm sending her kisses now. She's so sweet. So you can see how I love her because how she loves me. So she now came to work the following day. Now we've gotten the people to replace, the people to stand in. And she said, why should we lie? That we're trying to build a foundation. We're trying to get a certification. So why should we lie? That please, everybody go and stand in your position. That when the man comes, she's going to tell the man that we don't have it. That the reason why we want to get accreditation is so that we can have it. So why should we now go and borrow people from outside, pay heavily for them to come and stand in? And that's how we sent everybody away. And then we had the meeting. Now, for every question that they asked, I was able to answer in my capacity. So imagine if we had got the live and the person did not answer properly. Now, what happened? The value was there, but the certification back to that value wasn't there. So it is very important and necessary to let your value evolve with modern trend. Now, there's a new app.
Yeah.
A child told me about it, that you can put in words on the app and then it writes you a story. When he told me, I sat there, I read the app, downloaded the app, paid for the app. My man and how did you know before me? But I opened that channel of conversation with them so that they come to tell me what is trending and then I tell them what is trending. So please, I'm saying this, teachers, don't ever be busy. Create time to know. Are we busy? Yes, we are busy. But you see, coming to work early is an investment, it's a time management skill. Avoid gossiping is the best time management skill that you can practice as an educator. You see that time that you are standing up to go and meet Mrs. Abimbo to talk about how they did not pay her salary. It's not your business. Come. When I was working in the same school, I will finish entering my exam questions and they will allow me go home. So I close before everybody because I like speed. So when everybody is there, we all go to the ICT. Then tech wasn't, not everybody had a system. We go there, we all work together. But as everybody's working, listening to music, I am entering. Ife is a good child. I will face my task squarely. Then when I'm done, I'll cross my leg and start deceiving. They say, you're deceiving. I'll go meet the head of school yesterday. Oh, you are done, you can go. So I get 3 days free because we're supposed to work from Monday to Friday. By Tuesday, I'm done. So I come to school Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday as a visitor with lunch for them. Do you understand? So you see that time that you are using to move around, invest that time to know. See that time that you go on social media to scroll and like people's posts and laugh when you see memes. My darling, you are only deceiving yourself. A lady sent me a message on Instagram that she needed a job. I hope she's here because I said I'm going to give her that feedback. That she needed a job and she told me, I told her what's her area of expertise. She said early years. I said okay. 2 days later, the admin of one of the big schools we have in Nigeria, in Abuja here, one of the very big schools we have, reached out to me that they need an early years teacher. And I said, oh, someone reached out to me. I will send her Instagram page to you. She said, okay. I sent her Instagram page, and then she responded to me that there's nothing on this page. I can't send it to my HR. Your Instagram is not for fine girl, fine boy post. If I did not come out as an educator, Mrs. Sonia, will I be sitting here live with you tonight?
No.
My body, will you be sitting down here tonight to have this live section with us if you did not brand yourself as an educator online? No. All read the same thing. Miss Sonia, would I have reached out to you the first time I did if you did not brand yourself as an educator? Now, this person just got a job because all that is on her Instagram is TikTok trends. She's singing to TikTok trends. Please join community of educators and find out. Now, if not because I will mention it sometimes, the way I learn as a teacher. If I'm taking courses, I take teachers' courses because I want to teach teachers. Why would I teach them what I don't know? Now I want to register for a teaching certification. Why am I not looking at school leadership? I'm not looking at school leadership now because my own is not to lead, it's to teach. So please invest in those times that you wait doing nothing. Pay attention to your daily routine now and give me this feedback and ask yourself genuinely, do you really not have time? You are inside, even if it's Molue, you are entering inside Molue and everywhere is browsing. Invest earpieces, 250 naira earpiece now. Put it in your ear and play something on YouTube.
And learn something.
2019, both, you know, this thing that they do, what is your review over the year? You know, then they did something to me. They said, okay, do you know that if you had read the books for every day you enter the cab, you should have finished 62 books at the end of this year? And I was like, what nonsense. So they have taught me to use my overtime. So that I will not forget where I'm going to. So I sit in front, put on my headset, and begin to listen. Tell me anything is happening educational listening. I am there. If I'm not there, I'm listening, I'm watching. Let your value evolve with the trend. Your goal is not to raise future leaders. Your goal is, first of all, become a leader that will show. You know what it feels like that you are the president and then one of your students is your vice. But you want to see Adegule, your student should become the vice president. Then one day they will now buy things inside carton with car and now put it on social media. On social media that they came to. Is that what you want for your? No, answer me.
No.
Is that what you want for yourself? Or you want to be the one to call your student like, oh, I heard you can't pay your tuition. You're going to the UK. So can I send you 100,000 pounds? That's the kind of teacher I want to be. I don't know about you guys. That's the kind of person I want to be.
And you know the funny thing is now, or like before when you had to go to the particular center, going to get the particular school, social media, I mean, knowledge everywhere. Like, so
Everywhere.
it is so cheap to get. Now, knowledge is so easy. You don't even need to register for a particular course. There are some people that you just go to and from 1 or 2
And you're learning.
you've learned something. Not just I and Miss Mom were talking about that thing each day. When I was talking about you have to spend money to it. There's no point in just spend money. You can't just say my salary is a percentage of your salary to what the particular bill and tell yourself, okay, this is what I want to attain this at this particular time. And just do it. Before COVID, I saw this tech teacher training. That was before COVID. When I was 2018, COVID was when 2020. Okay, and the training was 2019. So I registered for it. I think it was 2,000 at the time, or 6 weeks of training. In fact, there was a particular app that I even used. Then I had there was this guy in my church who stopped on Instagram. So I asked him, how did you edit this video? How did you do this video? He said it half and I'll download and I'll just play around with it. So I'm a kinesthetic trainer, so I have to play around with stuff. And then I did that training, and it was really something that I met you before. So I did that, and then COVID came, and everybody was just doing all this stuff, and I was like, thank God I did that, because that I did not do that. Yeah, then the lady called me up to do stuff for her. I got 2 teaching jobs at the same time, so I would go at a particular time and do another one later in the afternoon. In fact, like, I was working during COVID. I didn't even feel like going back to the classroom because I was working. But you know that
yeah, it was during COVID I discovered my real talent now.
And everybody, in fact, my tech skills showed during COVID. My class was always open because I would create some slides like this. And my children were having fun. Every day, always wanted something. But I was going to join something go to their school. And the children had fun. It was, and that was because I didn't just teach them. It looked like I had the best salary I was earning the most at the time. I just made up my life that I do not just, I never want to be drama. I don't want the world to pass me by and then I'm just an expert for doing everything. I can't do anything. I'm going to make a short video. Like the world is evolving. Like the world is evolving. In fact, this life has been very powerful. I'm so glad you are doing it. You as a this was just awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Mr. Natu, let me clear out that from what you have said, I think teachers need to really be realistic because many teachers wait for the school owners to train them. And gone are the days where you tie your training to people. Like Miss Sonia said earlier, there are some pages you follow that. If you're following Miss Sonia, for example, you're going to be learning a lot about without paying any money. And then sometimes there are no free trainings and you still not attend the free trainings and then you are waiting for a school owner and that's they don't even train people. That's why I'm still like this. Please. There's no room for excuses this year. This 2023, there's no room for excuse. You have every opportunity to learn. Let's try center. If you are so instead of scrolling through Instagram aimlessly, if you have 3 people that today if I go to this page with your notepad, I'm going to learn 1, 2, 3, and then you notice somewhere, okay, today I've learned this, and then you implement because it's not enough to even learn. Sometimes you even listen, and then you close the book at the end. Are you even implementing? So, no more excuses. Teachers have given too many excuses in the past, and it won't work this year. It will not work. So we need to wake up and start taking ownership of our learning, our growth, because most of things we have discussed today is professional wellness. Yeah. So wellness is not physical only. Your professional wellness, apart from teaching, marking notes, when you leave it, what else? So we need to wake up. Wake up.
Yes, I need to. How many of us saw that Tricella 100?
I didn't get that.
What did you say?
I say I don't know how many of us saw that Tricella 100 creators in Africa. I don't know if you guys saw it.
I
can't hear you clearly.
Okay. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
I think I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay, I said I don't know how many of us saw that Tricella 100. The seller, you saw it, right? How did you feel when you saw it? Is there any teacher there?
Not teacher.
when I saw it, I was like, sorry,
Selling
what
knowledge.
are you doing? That was what I asked myself. I said, am I not supposed at least represent am I not supposed to be here? Try say, oh my God. When I saw it, I was like, oh God, where are the teachers of Nigeria?
Is it just that one?
We must get a teacher on that list. All those people that were on the, what are they selling?
They are selling knowledge.
Not that we have.
Writing. Somebody is selling. We have so much knowledge.
Knowledge that we have.
When I saw that, I was very happy. Seriously, I was like, God, Maury, you're not doing anything. I know I'm doing something, but I'm supposed to be on that list. Please, teachers, wake up. Just like she said, now you need to wake up. Seriously, there's so much.
No excuses. Your school owner your school owner is facing their own palaver. The price of gold now is a lot. They are facing their own. They are facing you face your own. You can't keep waiting for your school. So you keep waiting. So they are paying you salary already. They didn't tell some of them didn't take you need to move. You want to do it for yourself. What's your own plan for yourself? Are you saying if one school owner doesn't do it, that's it? You're not do you think you're doing yourself a favor by doing that? I think some teachers just feel like if they will not show me, I'll just show them. My dear, you will come take the job from you, and you will just be there, and you just be done, and then they'll be calling you and see the senior one in the stay 15 years, 20 years. They have not moved from one to another. It's time to break the cycle. It's time to break out. It is time to break barriers. It's time to shine your light. It is time to be what God has called you to be. Thank you so much, ladies. Does anybody have anything else to add?
So it is, I would like us to also define taking advantage of, because thinking about it again, some teachers call training taking advantage. So when you say someone is taking advantage of you, what exactly do you mean? Sometimes you might be stretched, and because you don't want to go, you will say, oh, they are taking advantage of me. So you need to be very clear. When you say, I'm being taken advantage of, is it that you feel that you've been assigned some tasks, and then why is it only me they're assigning me to? Sometimes these things that you see as stress, I don't want to use the word stress, these things that you see as too much work might be you being stressed to grow. So if you are a person that doesn't like growth, you will see it as being taken advantage of. So you need to be very clear when you say taking advantage of, right? Is someone taking advantage of you, or you just don't want to grow? There are two different things. And when we talk about paying the price, sometimes you will have to do these things to grow. So don't think that it will just be, all rosy. No, you need to grow, you need to stretch, you need to take up some tasks, because if you don't do all those things, you will not become experienced. You will not grow.
Yeah. My first shot at leadership was, in quotes, someone using me. First of all, I want you guys to know that nobody can use what is not useful. So the fact that they are using you means that you are useful. And I want you now to open up your mind and be strategic about being used. Do you understand? Because sometimes this usefulness is what will groom you into leadership. Now, I had this that she was such a user, but wherever she is, I am praying for her because she gave me the lip. Now, she knows what she knows it, like her hair. But when it comes to execution, zero. And I love to execute. So she will plan, structure, then give me, I will execute. She will take the glory for it. In fact, I want to be behind the curtain. No, I don't have a problem. And one day, she needed to be out of the country for, I think, a week or a month. I can't remember. And she wrote a letter. And in that letter, she said, while I am gone, I want to hold you to stand in for me at the head of school. My dad, that's how he started. And I stood him up. I stood him and I was so, I don't use the word I was so good, but I was so effective and efficient that when she came, she didn't stay in the school for 1 month. She went and I took over her position. But I wouldn't have been in that position if, in quotes, I was not available to this. So be strategic. If you know you have no plan to advance in this career, leave now and you are the one to set the boundary. But if you know your end goal is to grow, the leaders will spot you and they will demand of you to go the extra mile. Because the time is going to come where nobody will tell you to go the extra mile but you have to go. Because if, for example, now you say, oh, they are using me, I can't do this, I can't take this, I can't take that. Now, when it's now time for you, I heard that there are some schools in Abuja that don't vet lesson plans. Me, I will sleep in, I will be awake till the night. I will vet the lesson plan, I will vet the notes that the children will take. I will also vet the children's notes. I will call them randomly to ask them why. Because someone created this structure for me to see, and I played a very important role in executing part of this structure. So, before you say they are using you, ask yourself, how far do you want to go in this career? And I know they get to abuse people. You also have to be strategic about the using. If they've used you, once in a while, you take out time. If me now, I'm going on break, I say I want to rest, I'm not feeling fine. Nobody will question me. Why? Because I have given in what is demanded, above what is demanded. So I can now take those rests. So please, before you go around and say they are using you, know that nobody will use something that is useless. It's because you are useful, that's why they are using it. But healthy boundary is still very important. So one is saying, what will you advise for a first time and new school leader? I'm going to tell you, no pressure on yourself. That's the first thing you need to know. Don't put pressure on yourself to impress anybody. And I need you to know that your number one point of interest is the academic. Depends on the leadership. Well, I'm in the academic sector. So the children's academic goal, their growth is your number one target. Pursue it. In your structuring and restructuring and constructuring, focus on the goal, is academic improvement. Because the easiest way to grow in school is when the children are doing well. Forget all this paparazzi that we are doing now. You know, this international day, movie, that day. If my kid is not doing well, I'm going to pull him out of that school. So focus there. And please, it's very important that you are strategic and diplomatic as a schooler. Please, do not play the card of going to say, oh, I'm for the teachers. You are not for them. Be Mr. Buhari. You're not for anybody, you are for everybody. Don't ever get to the point where you get so comfortable that teachers will come and please, before I say this, on no account should you ever gossip any member of the management or your boss to people in the managerial team or your superior. No matter how angry they get you, come home and tell a stranger. Don't call names because one day they will meet these people. Now, please don't get to that point where the teachers feel or other staff feel so comfortable to use your office as a place of gossip. Don't do that. Don't do you are for us. No, you are not for. They are not the ones paying your salary. Please, you are for everybody. You are for nobody. You are being employed by the school owner. What is fair to work? Please do the right thing. Don't say you want to baby the teachers. Don't baby the teachers. Do what is right. Be highly diplomatic, and most importantly, you have to pray and read a lot of leadership books. I'm reading one now. It's far from me. I would have shared it with you. You can DM me because it's growth is something that is continual. Read a lot of leadership books because to be a leader is a calling, but the strategy for leading is early skills that you have to use because you are dealing with not spirits, you are dealing with people that can be manipulated with the body. So you have to have the skills to be able to handle them. So yes, that's my advice for a new time leader.
Thank you so much. Miss Michael, do you have anything else to add? Miss Michael, do you have anything else to add?
I don't have anything to add. I think that's said it all.
So, this has been an enlightening session. Like,
Yeah.
I thought it was just 1 hour. It's still an hour. An hour for 5 minutes. Yeah. And it's been mind blowing. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I know that 2023 is going to be a very amazing year. And I believe that the teachers that have come on this live, we're going to start seeing new things happen. We're going to start seeing teachers emerge from their cocoons.
Yeah.
Saying no to
I think I have just something to add.
saying no to waiting for your employer. It's where you want to say something.
Yes, I want to encourage teachers to seek mentorship. Many of us we just get to where we are just like that on our own. I know there are so many times I reach out to Miss Tonia to say, Miss Tonia, please, how are you doing this? Teach me, because me, I always like learning. One of my colleagues used to call me, she used to call me sponge. She said me, I like taking it everywhere. And it's true, I just like learning. So if you know that you are not doing well in a given in seeking mentorship, ask others how are they doing it. Look for someone that will teach you, even if it means paying a token. And then again, there's something that I always say. When there's a training that you know that you really, really need and you can't afford it, please open your mouth and ask for a discount. You'll be shocked that they will give you a discount. Seriously, I do that a lot. I'll see a training and the people, they are so big, but I'll just go and ask, can you please give me a discount? And they will never know except you ask. So teachers, don't just give yourself your eye at the spot. Open your mouth, make that connection. What's the word? There's the word. Network with others. You are not an island. Reach out to people and create that friendship. And let 2023 be different for us all.
Be willing to pay for value. Be willing to pay for value.
Very important.
You have to take something to get something. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. At this point, we're going to do the cutting. Thank you. This has been amazing. I've been jotting. I jotted things down. I took things away. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Happy New Year.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Miss Sonia, for having us.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.